Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our discussion with Dr. Irina Frazin.
I was in a webinar with NGOs, and they were telling me, well, we are head over heels with the vet work, the trapping, the taking care, the cleaning, all these activities, the adoption programs, and so on. We don't have time to talk about this, to have workshops, to educate the people, to go to schools, to go to different settings, talk about this. I was telling them, yes, but reach out, because there are other people who can fill in for these places. I mean, there are people who can do it. It's not, you don't have to, this is something, I don't know if it's Romanian or it's working in other places. People find it very hard to connect and build networks. It's really very difficult here. I mean, this is one of the most difficult things to do, because people, I don't know, they kind of lack trust. I mean, they are like, we are doing this work and we know how to do it, and don't put your nose in our work because you will destroy it, And it's like, no, it's like this. So if we don't work together, then it's really hard. It's small drops, but if we can work together, we can make a change. So, but it's difficult. It's really difficult to make people trust that you are well-intended, and you are not there to criticize what they do. We are just there to show them ways, simple ways, affordable ways to make it better. That's it. That's very sensitive things. You are touching very sensitive things. You have to be very careful about this.
Yeah, working together can definitely bring out egos and just even if it's not ego related, just people just got different ideas of how things should be done and which is better for the cat, what you should do, etc., etc. So in my experience in Saudi, people just work in small groups and then they network together if they need to do something together. But mostly it's small groups because they find people find people they can work with, etc. So they'll reach out to maybe different vets who will support their work, but they'll still work as a little group, and because otherwise humans make drama. I don't know if you find that, but humans make drama, and it's dramatic enough trying to help these poor, there's an animal in need without any human adding extra elements of drama to it. So it's something I really want to write about sometime. I mean, so much stuff goes on behind the scenes. But do you experience any trolling on social media? Are these kind of collaborations put on social media, or any local rescues or any local individual rescuers? Do they advertise, and do you know if they receive any?
Really, I can't tell you too much on that because I avoid following this too much.
Right.
Because unfortunately there is this kind of social media advertising part. Sometimes it's really getting attention and getting things done and so on. But unfortunately it's getting attention driven from the, how should I put it? From the people making the most work, to some associations which are feeding themselves from the suffering of the animals.
Right.
So they are collecting a lot of money for a suffering animal, but in fact it's just for advertising and sharing the details on social media, and the money going behind. So practically you have no idea, unless you know the people with whom you are working, or other people you have a network of people that they are doing a great work, and the associations and so on. There are a lot of pop-up things that you can't, I mean, maybe they are correct and this, but there is no way of knowing because there are such things happening behind. So it needs a lot of care and attention.
Yeah, there's lots of layers. Yeah, lots of layers. So what's the legal situation for cats in Romania? Are there any mandatory microchipping? Do the government pay for? Is it only NGOs that pay for TNVRM or things like that, or individuals? Yeah.
No, government. Theoretically, the only problem that they are trying to solve now is the one of the dogs.
Yeah.
So for the dogs, there is obligation to microchip. There is a registry where they should all be registered. There is obligation to neuter and so on and so forth. For the cats, there is no such thing. And there are even a lot of NGOs opposing this because they find it almost impossible to do it for cats. So I don't see any definite change in the near future. For instance, even the ear tipping, the neutered cats, it's a huge issue here because theoretically it's against the law to crop the ear of an animal or any kind.
That's interesting, yeah, because it's kind of like the universal signal to not have to,
Yeah,
and
but
especially for a very nervous cat, it's not nice for them to be retrapped and.
Yeah, but here it's really, really a big debate. I was in a huge debate about this because they are saying it's mutilating the cats, but it's kind of exactly what you said, far more traumatic. And they were talking about tattooing inside the ear, but that this tattoo, it's not really. First of all, you can't see it from a distance, so you will trap that cat many times and put it under anesthesia in order to check her ears. And secondly, it can be lost in time, or maybe the cat is injured, or it's simply not, visible enough to know the situation of the cat. And many times, unfortunately, because of this, cats are trapped and operated again because there is no sign to say that they are fixed already.
So, yeah, I mean, what we ended up doing, because we started off doing the V, that was dreadful because that could just be a sign of a cat fight. So ended up doing a clip across and a tattoo, because if you had a cat that you were wanted to trap and he was hiding under a car, you might, because of course they're not sitting just like this going, look at my ear, they're moving around, etc. So you might catch a glimpse of a cut ear, and then you wait a bit longer with your binoculars, and then if the cat turned, then you could see sometimes. And sometimes you used to just like photograph it on the turn and then zoom in and go, okay, that cat is done. Because one of the other issues that we had, and I don't know if you guys have it or will have it, some vets do midline spays and some vets do flank spays. So if the cat is trapped and then put under anaesthetic, and then and the vet is doing a midline spay, but the cat's already had a flank spay, you have to check both areas, and sometimes vets don't do that as well. So it's it's interesting how all of these things have to come up, and it brings me to something that you say in your and in your article, and something that you said about the cats in the room, and we should move from talking for those who do not have a voice to making efforts to listen and understand their voices, their mute messages. And I was thinking about this today, and you're right, experience. I can tell from my experience with cats that animals do want to communicate with us, and they will let us know what they want and need. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, I'm not quite sure all humans have the skills, even if they want to try and understand what, let's say, for example, a cat is saying to them. And of course, cats can be in many different contexts. Not all humans have that skill. And maybe also not all humans have that. Even if they have the skill, they don't have the desire, because it's stressful, and it makes you anxious. Once you get into the world of animal rescue, you know how stressful and anxious it can make you, and sleepless nights and worrying about them and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, this understanding their voices and their communication. That's why I love the idea about community cats, rather than scooping them all up and putting them in homes. Of course, some need to be taken off the street because they just can't manage with it. But community cats with guardians, street guardians, and I just say about the food and the water and checking their vaccinations and microchips and all this. I mean, it would be a huge effort, but it would be one of my dreams for, well, especially to book in Saudi Arabia for that to happen. And I'm sure that you've obviously said it would be a dream for you as well. You've obviously been to shelters, and you've talked about the transparent walls. When you say they're transparent, is it chain link fence or something?
The transparent walls, I think they are an alternative to the bars, because when we see bars we feel like in prison, so we don't want to see bars. It's kind of disturbing. So
is it perspex or something?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Right.
I don't know exactly the material, but it's resisting and it's transparent. So yeah, but it's not all the walls. I mean, you are not all transparent walls, but you have like 2 transparent walls. Depending where the room is in the shelter, you have 1 or 2, or depending. But for the cat, I imagine for the cat, it's really disturbing to have this idea that they are under scrutiny all the time. So it's not better with the bars anyway.
So when you say you imagine that it, because obviously we all interpret everything in our own way, I'm wondering how many people have different perspectives on if they went into an area like that. I mean, I can't imagine it. I haven't seen it, so I don't know exactly what it looks like. But of course, some people might think, as you say, that the cat is relaxed, but you view that the cat is actually under some stress and doesn't want to move around and doesn't want to give any body signals which will invite attack or attention from another cat. It's do your colleagues see that in the same way then, or?
Well, it depends, because even the experience in a place like this, it's not that all the cats are behaving similarly. Some are actually more friendly, and it's depending also on your interaction there, because if you are just passing, visiting, they will react in a certain way, just stay as we were saying earlier. But if you are trying to reach out or open the door or have an interaction, there will be some of the cats will just stay there laid back and not wanting to do anything with you, but others will come actually to try to get out. This is my interpretation. They will try to get out, not actually come to meet you, but try to get out of there. So it's really for me. I was very much influenced by the cats that I know, and the cats, the community cats that I take care of. They are very, I had visitors coming to see them, but they actually don't come. I mean, when I come home, they are all coming because they know they will get something good and so on. So my first idea was, yes, if you want to see the cat, come with me. But if somebody else is coming with me, then the cats will be like, no, thank you. Will not come this time. Oh, next time.
Yeah.
So they are not very, I didn't want them to become very friendly, because the story of if they become very friendly, then they can be aggressed easier and so on. So if they are in the streets, it's better they know how to look after themselves, and it's better they keep a distance from the humans, because not all the humans are having good intentions. So yeah, some of them are really, really into that. I will tell you a story if you'd like, about an experience I had with a very, I can say feral, because she was never she was born in the street. I know her from when she was born, so she didn't have any contact with humans, because you know what you say, when they are small, they don't have any contact with humans, and they will never love being handled and so on. And this cat had also had the meeting with the famous trap I was writing in the article about. So her face was broken practically. I saw her once in the morning when I go feed them. Her eyes were completely shut and there was blood going out, and her mouth was destroyed. So she was just staying like this, and I felt completely pity. I called the vet, and he told me, yes, okay, you can come in if you catch her now, come in, sure. So I caught her. It was really difficult. It was not in that particular time. I followed her around a little, and I got a very big cage, something that would fit a dog, because I can't squeeze her in a cat cage, you can imagine. I took her in a towel. She scratched me a little bit, but whatever. I took her in a towel and put her in the cage and took her to the vet. The vet this is another big problem here, the vet who doesn't work normally with street cats, they don't know how to approach this cat. And this is another issue. But I told him, well, you can't open the cage. So you can't open the cage. You have to put her to sleep first, and then Anyway, he put her to sleep. He opened the cage. The eyes, one of the eye is compromised. She didn't lose the eye, but she lost the sight in one eye. The other eye recovered. Good. She sees now. And her jaw was broken. And the vet told me, can you bring her back to take off the stitches? No way. No way. I mean, now she knows, now she knows. So do what you can, and that's it. So he fixed her with something resorbable that will not be needed to be taken out. He took her the teeth, which are going out. He took the teeth out. And anyway, I took her. He told me, don't take her out of the cage till she's completely awake, and this because it's dangerous. Okay, I took her back home, put her in the garage, waited for her to be completely awake. Told me about 2 hours, and so I went checking her for that. Anyway, she was out. Then the story began because she had, of course, he gave her antibiotic, of course, but the infection grew and grew and grew in her eye because all that entering with the heat. So I had to feed her antibiotic for, I think, a week or 10 days. I don't remember. I was buying for her the best food ever because she was very hard to convince to take the antibiotic. So I had to look for antibiotic without taste and mix it with the best tasting food, and not all the time the same food, that they are very picky when they are eating. So, and I had to guard her not to have others eating and so on. Anyway, we had a big story, but finally she was out of this. And from a really feral cat, she didn't want any contact, anything. Now she's the sweetest cat ever. And she's coming for caresses, and she's staying, and she doesn't even want food now. She just wants you to caress her. So it was like a real change after that. So yeah, things happen like this. So when I talk with people about asking me about their cats and so on, I tell them, well, cats are individuals. You cannot talk about cats in general, like you cannot talk about humans in general. Yep. You have to talk about this cat and about her history, what happened to her, and how is she now. So she's completely changed. I mean, for me, in the beginning when she is even before she was coming close, but you can't touch her. You reach out and she's going, Yeah. But now, no. Now she wants this contact more than anything. I mean, she prefers she has to choose between being caressed or getting food. She's choosing to be caressed. So it's really bad that we can't find a real home for her.
Is it just you that she comes to, or is she friendly to other people now too?
No, there are other people feeding them. It's not just me.
Okay.
In the neighborhood, there are other people feeding her, and she's friendly to them, but they don't get so much close because, these cats, they are getting close, but they are not getting that close to be dewormed or defleed or so on and so forth regularly. I can catch them from them. I find a tick on one, and I can put something on them to treat them, but I can't do this regularly. So these people are like, well, they are still dirty. We don't want to. Unfortunately, it's true. Even the vet told me, because I came once with my cat with a very bad eye infection, and he told me, you brought it to her from the cat there. So
okay.
She didn't take the infectious disease because she's vaccinated, but she took the infection coming after because she doesn't have no protection for that. So yeah, it's truly dangerous here that we vaccinate cats yearly because we need to protect them, our cats, from this. And they can't. I mean, it's a fact, and I really am very conscious about that, and I try to disinfect and so on and so forth. But it's limited. There are limits to what you can do, and plus my cats are very, very sensitive, and they have a lot of issues.
But that story about I'm going to call it gratitude, or the change of, we see it so often. A cat that is completely not interested, anti-human, etc. Even within a week, with a bit of food, a bit of love, feeling better, no longer dehydrated, they spin round so quickly, and that's one of the problems I have with as you said, the generalized idea that once if a cat is not socialized by a certain stage, the cat will never be socialized. I mean, even when I was in the UK years and years and years ago, and we had some what people would term feral kittens. They come round. It just needs maybe a greater degree of socialization, or somebody who can actually, as you say, there are teachers. The cats are our teachers. And I wanted to ask you what Bubus has taught you. Any specific examples of what Bubus has taught you?
I think she taught me everything there is now. I mean, she's my main teacher in this. if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't try to understand cats, And I have to tell you that I wasn't a cat person from the beginning. I mean, I took a cat in my apartment because I had a small apartment and I'm afraid of dogs. So here we have a lot of feral dogs, a lot of dogs in the street. And if I had a dog in that apartment, then I would have to go out 3 times per day with my dog in the territory of other dogs. So it's not really something I was looking up to. So I took a cat because I couldn't afford to take a dog. But then I discovered what she was all about, and she taught me everything. I started to know her so well that there were times when I take her to the vet because I know Bobsy is suffering. I told you that the first 2 years of her life, she was really sick. So now I know her body language so well that I go to the vet. I think the vet is thinking that I'm a little bit crazy. And I tell him, Bobsy is in pain. Bobsy is having something. And he's looking, now she's 15 and she's having problems with the joints. And when he doesn't know what she's having, he's telling me, well, Bobsy is having pain in her joints. She's old. And this happened once, not only once, in fact, but once was really very obvious that several days after I came back, okay, to go to the vet, what more I can do? I don't know what she's having. I know she's in pain, but I don't know what she's having. So several days after, I went back to the vet because Booz was not opening her eyes at all. And she had a lesion in her cornea. The previous check, from the previous check, she was having that, but just the vet didn't check everything. This is really difficult to check everything there is to check. So he skipped that, and several days she couldn't open her eyes. I know she was in pain. So, yeah, I can read her body language now. I know, but I can understand. I know she's suffering, or I know she's relaxed, or I know, but I don't know exactly what is triggering that because
I see from the photo or the art piece you've made of Bubus, she looks like a peaky face Persian. Is that so? People are purchasing peaky faces and putting them and dumping them in the street, or are peaky face Persians reproducing in the street? Do you know?
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are reproducing in the street. I think that there is quite a business with this, unfortunately, because there is no check on that. There is no. Of course, they have people who are making this with the Romanian Association with breeders and so on, but there are others who are. Actually, another cat is from the Moldavian Republic that I have, also a Persian, because this is people are for taking them, wanting to sell them. If they don't get, they are selling them for very high prices. If they don't sell them, then they are becoming to consume resources, and they are abandoned because it's easier to abandon them to take care of them, especially that they are having also health problems and so on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in common with our experiences. I know for sure.
Have these community cats that you and others care for, and they're in relatively good condition. Do you have an issue? And the reason I ask is because the colony that I study in Spain, it's very well looked after, and they appear to have a good life. But the problem is, even though they're on top of trap, neuter, release, and there's no kittens being born, there's cats being dumped. And it's almost like people are saying, oh, well, they're well looked after here. They have a good life. It's not really abandoning. It is abandoning. Yeah. So I wondered if you had that problem at all, or whether, or how do you deal with that? It's frustrating, right?
Yeah, really. I totally understand. It happened to me. Because also the cats in my neighborhood are well looked after, and they're good looking well, especially that I love drawing, and my home is on my exterior walls of my home. There are a lot of cat drawings. So it's like looking like a cat sanctuary. And yes, unfortunately, I have people, it happened that they left cats at my doorstep. But fortunately, I managed to get them adopted, because these cats are not street cats. They cannot fare well in the street. They are coming from somebody's home. So they are like my home cats. They are accustomed to having somebody taking care of them and staying inside. And not hunting for their life. And no, plus the colony cats are chasing them away. But it's not their families. They are having, actually, this is something which I really like to study, and I really follow that they are having their territories. I mean, on my street, there are different cats having different territories, and there are territories that they share. And for instance, in my garden, in fact, it's not my garden, it's a common garden for several homes, but there is the main part where the colony lives, and they do not accept other cats from the neighborhood there. They chase them away, especially some of them are really bad. But if they are in the front part of the home, closer to the street, which is also our part of our garden, but this part they are sharing with the other cats. So they are completely okay. They stay there together, no problem, because it's their common place. But they are in their home, it's not the same. Each one is having this kind of core territory, which it's for their family. The others, which are a little bit okay, they are eating together. They are perfectly okay because this is common ground. So it's really interesting. But yes, unfortunately, I had a recent trip to Rome, and I saw the cats there, and I really loved how well taken care of they are, especially in the ruins part, in the city. And I saw there the announcement that these cats it's a protected colony, and you shouldn't harm the cats because you will be punished under the law and so on. And I said, oh, this is such a great idea. We could write this on our fences. And my friend said, no, don't write that, because if you write that, then you'll have exactly what you were saying. People, this is a cat colony. Sure, we can bring more cats. So not a good idea. Yes, we will always have that. But what we can do, except educate the people to take responsibility. There is another part which I also want to add, because we talk a lot about responsible animal keeping and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, there are situations like we talked in the beginning about the old people going to institutions or divorce or changing the homes. So there are a lot of situations where people cannot genuinely keep their animals, keep their cats. So they have to have a solution apart from leaving them in the street. So unless we try to find ways to help them find these kind of solutions, they will abandon them because they don't find anything to do. So this is why and having a support network where you have to have a phone number. I have to leave my cat. What I can do? Who can help me? So this is what needs to change.
Yeah, I'm in Portugal at the moment, and that's something I see a lot on Facebook. People posting, my dad died, my mum died, my neighbour died. This cat needs a home, otherwise it's going to remain on the street. And it's something that is definitely happening here as well. But
I had to switch off those posts. I was in a couple of cat rescue groups because it's
heartbreaking.
It's hard.
Sure.
If nobody adopts this, nobody fosters this cat, we're going to have to throw them out on the street. And it's like,
and the guilt trip is one of the biggest problems that social media. I mean, it's for another discussion. I know we're past an hour now, but maybe we can talk about that another time, about the trolling that happens and the guilt trips that happen, and all these kind of things, and the colony dumping, that people abandoning their cats, or dumping as we call it, at colonies. Rescuers do not give out their addresses. Rescuers new to the scene, they advertise, oh yes, I'll take this cat and I'll do this and I'll do that, and then eventually they realize after a year, I'm moving and I'm not telling anyone where I live anymore. It's a huge problem. Not only that, I don't know if you get the same, but abandoning in vet practices, abandoning at grooming places, abandoning outside pet shops. It's just a whole raft of things.
Yeah. For instance, my vet doesn't keep cats in the hospital because of that. He told me, no, I keep the dogs overnight, but never cats, because it happened to me so many times. So no way.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, you find housing. When you go on vacation, you want to house your cat. This is more difficult than for your dog. I don't know why, but it so happens that so many are dumped in this way. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I know we don't have much time to talk about anything else now, but I wanted to highlight, I think it's a paper that was published in 2022 on the history of cats and women that you wrote. And yeah, I want to say I really enjoyed reading that, and I cited a bit in my dissertation. But yeah, you mentioned the crazy cat lady trope in that, which I did a little post on for Women's Day on the crazy cat lady trope, and I think I put a link to your paper in there because yeah, I just found that really fascinating, the historical aspect. But I wondered if you wanted to just comment on the crazy cat lady trope and
Well, I loved also delving into that because I loved how this changed with the emancipation of women. So both women and cats like win their pride and their status back. So now it's no longer the crazy cat lady. Now it's the pride of helping the others and being independent. Like I really love these similarities between women and cats because a lot of the historically, cats were associated with the feminine. So I find it fascinating that even till today that we see this association. But for a time when the feminine was devalued, we had this way of seeing things. But fortunately, yes, I know that this stereotype is still well and alive. But fortunately, we are starting gradually to overcome it. So I love this. I love the emancipation, as I said. I just hope that we will get back to the ancient Egyptian kind of mentality where the feminine and the cats were something worth look up to and something sacred and something that we can really, really admire and love. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get to that in a day.
And before we wrap up, so going back to your Romanian language course, and I wondered if you, for the viewers, if you could tell us how to say cat in Romanian or something simple.
Well, cat in Romanian, it's really interesting that we don't have the word from the other Latin languages. In Romanian, cat is pisică. So theoretically, I looked for the etymology of this, and theoretically it's coming from the bust or past, the busted name of the cat in Egypt. So we don't have anything with cat or something like that.
Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting.
From the other Latin languages, it's gato and so on. We have it pisică in Romanian. So yeah, it's interesting.
And is cat a female gender noun or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Anthrozoology Podcast, and thank you again to our special guest, Dr. Irina Frazin. References mentioned within can be found in the show notes. Please join us again with more exciting aspects of anthrozoology.